but that's because, I mean, those are the standards of our organization. But like when we get to travel weekends, he's like giving us rides to the field. The girls don't travel alone. Uh, if we needed groceries or snacks, like he always brought them for us. We'd always be making jokes with him too. Like he's a jokester. He'd make dad jokes all the time. Like he always had that soft spot in him, and sometimes it rarely came out, especially when it came to business weekends. But I mean, it was just a very good happy medium of coaching mental toughness into young girls that are going to be collegiate players someday.
Hello and welcome to Catching You, a dad and daughter's softball journey. I'm Rusty, a dad who's been in the dugout and on the sidelines.
And I'm Lacie, the daughter whose journey through softball has been filled with incredible wins, tough losses, and so many lessons both on and off the field.
For the past 16 years, we've navigated the highs and lows of softball together, from the local fields to national tournaments and everything in between.
From the challenges of recruitment during COVID to the mental and emotional roller coaster that comes with being a student athlete, we will be sharing the perspectives of both a parent and athlete and firsthand experience of the impact of sports on mental health and the importance of support from the sidelines.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your co-host of Catching You, Rusty Ham. With me is the other co-host, my daughter, Lacie. Lacie, say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Lacie, looks like you're in a quad. Where are you currently located, and why?
I'm almost at the center of my campus. But I was at a coffee shop before trying to get new seating.
Yeah,
But the Wi-Fi was not good at all. So I came over here and the Wi-Fi is much better.
much better.
But there's just a lot of people.
Yeah, there's some music in the background, which is like
Yeah.
the life of a college student, right? So you have class
Yeah.
pretty soon. That's what you're waiting for, right?
Yeah, in like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
So
Yeah.
there's no point of going home and then coming back.
Uh-huh.
I just rather stay here.
There
Yeah.
you go. And you've been at practices. It looks like it's not raining, so your rain is gone for now. It's raining down
So
where we are right now, right?
yeah, I think, well, I wouldn't say it's the equivalent of when we played in a snow blizzard in New Mexico, but
Right.
it was almost crossing the line. We were in the cages practicing because it was raining so hard and the winds were up to like 50 miles per hour. So all the pitchers are pitching in one cage and there's nets falling down. There's buckets of baseballs tipping over because the wind's going so hard. And yeah. And then we watched a little movie together as a team afterwards. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, that's nice. Did you say bucket of baseballs or bucket of softballs?
Baseballs.
Oh, that's right. You guys share. You guys share with the baseball team. That's right.
We do. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, what
There you
can I
go.
say? The grind never stops.
There you go. And your season's coming up. When is your first game, Lace?
Yeah, our first game is this Friday at Sac State, and then we're gonna transfer over to UC Davis the other 2 days. So
And then
it's a
is
nice.
there a big event coming up this weekend as well, besides the first games of the season?
Yes, everyone, I'm turning 21 years of age on
Oh my
Sunday.
goodness. Oh my
21.
goodness.
Does that make you feel old?
Very. It's very old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember you being 6 years old and you pinky promises that you would never grow up, and you lied. You broke that promise.
You know, I wish 6-year-olds were immortal, but they're not.
And that's why
They're
we
really
have this
not.
tattoo. It's two pinkies. If you're watching YouTube, there's two pinkies, pinky swearing. So awesome stuff. Lay, so let's I know we were gonna talk about second year 14s, but we're gonna hold off. So if you guys were anticipating that, we're gonna hold off. We're gonna have mom come on because it's a big day. The second year 14s is a big transition for Lay. So we're going to hold off on that. What we did want to talk about was just kind of go back to Chris and then now Mark, right? And there's some people out there that may not think that sports psychology is a thing. there's a lot of people that like, oh, because old school people, right? Like, I mean, I'm sort of old school. I'm a Gen, what am I, a Gen X?
Yeah, because I'm a Gen Z.
Yeah. So,
Wait,
you know,
yeah.
yeah. So if you're like, 70s and 80s kids, it's suck it up. You're a latchkey kid most of the time. I was, I would come home from elementary school and, I'd have a key to the house and I'd be by myself. I'm 7, 8, 9, 10 years old because my mom was working, right? So, back in our day it was, suck it up, figure it out. But times have
Did
changed.
did sports psychology exist when you were playing sports?
I'm sure it was, but it probably was last on the list of majors in college.
I'm saying just like in general, like not even like a college degree, more in
Yeah,
like mental game or just like mental toughness. Because you played basketball
yeah,
for, I mean, you played other sports too, but basketball was your main one.
yeah.
But um, did they ever talk about that, like when you were playing?
No. So I have a story that there's a story that is always stuck in my mind. I was a senior playing basketball. I was the captain of the basketball team, and I was sick. I was deathly afraid. But back then, you don't miss practices. You
Yeah.
never missed. Like if you missed, you got benched. Didn't matter
Mhm.
what the excuse was, right? If you missed,
And
you were
you
benched.
and we incorporated that into when I played in high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And when I was a head coach, I had the same thing. If you missed, I didn't care what it was. You had to come to practice. If you were not dying, you were coming to practice. So you'd bundle up and take your cold medicine, whatever you need to do, and you would sit in the stands. You would be at practice, right? That was kind of my rule. That was old. That's old school. You come to practice no matter what. If you're not dying, then you come to practice, right? So I was super sick, and I think a couple other guys. It's basketball year. It's winter. It's winter time. This is when the flu is going around and stuff. And um, I was just we were in practice, and I was not like focused. And my coach, he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I just don't. I really don't feel it. I feel like I'm gonna throw up." And he slammed the ball on the floor as hard as he could. He started screaming and yelling out, "You guys are a bunch of prima donnas. You guys are weak." This and that. He just went off, and he stopped practice. He just ended it. He's like, "This," and he was a cusser, so he was just,
Yeah.
F bomb this, F bomb this. You guys are weak. You guys prima donnas. Slammed the ball and just walked out. And we were all kind of like looking at each other like, what the hell? So that was kind of like, my experience. Now your experience, it it's not the same, but you had Chris,
It's
who was
similar.
it's similar. You had Chris, who's very tough exterior. You have Mark Campbell, who's tough exterior. Ex cop. In Compton.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and in fact, if you guys don't know that when this episode comes out, the Mark Campbell Classic has probably just ended. In honor of him, if you guys don't know Mark Campbell, 14U, very prominent coach in the Batbuster organization, passed away, I think, shortly after your second year of 14s, right?
Uh
You were in
no,
16s.
so
Yeah, you were in 16s when he passed away, right?
yeah, so almost not even a year after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he might have had cancer while he was coaching you guys, and we don't really know. But so
Yeah.
he died of cancer. But so there's a tournament that Lacie played in last year, which was kind of cool. A lot of the girls from Oklahoma played for him. You played for him, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, not our best weekend.
no,
Not our best weekend. I don't think we got to 7 innings in any of the games,
we
but
played 5 games and
we
describe every
played
5 games.
who did we play? Mark Campbell. We played Oklahoma. We played
Liberty.
Washington. We played Liberty. We played Stanford. And we played
not
Who
Oregon.
else? No.
It was just another top. Yeah, it was just another
Top
top
20
team.
teams. We played all top 20 teams in the nation, and we didn't even get to 7 innings in any. But it was still kind of like a memorable weekend for me because, first of all, I was honoring Mark, and it was the first
Mhm.
annual invitational in his name. But also, had a lot of confidence that weekend. I don't know where it came from. I mean, it was our opening weekend, so obviously adrenaline's high, and you never really get to play these teams ever unless you're obviously in their conference. But yeah, it was on a roll. I was on a roll that weekend.
Yeah, you did
And
great.
you guys were there.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. Anyway, we're always at your games. Anyway, so yeah, you played really well. Um, considering you didn't start any of those games, you
Any of
came in
them.
relief, and you did really well against Oklahoma. I think you gave up 1 home run, and
So
then
my teammate that I played on Mark's team with.
that's right. And it was her first home run of her collegiate career. Good job,
So
ladies.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway,
great. Made
um,
flow softball, everything.
yeah, exactly. Uh, so the reason why we want to get into kind of this, suck it up, figure it out type of is, you had Chris who was on the exterior, a suck it up, figure it out, you know, take it personal. You drop a ball, take it personal. You strike out, take it personal. You walk somebody, take it personal. But he also had a soft side to him, right? Right. Mark was
Yeah.
the same way. Mark, now you're getting into Mark Campbell, who is highly sought out by other coaches to find out, okay, what players do you have, for these Power 5 school teams? So, he's preparing you for college. So he's tough exterior, but he also had a soft side to him. Can you explain or just kind of mentally how you felt about that? How these guys are just super tough on you, and what was that like?
I mean, obviously there's gonna be some hard days where you feel like, wow, did he really just say that to me? Or did my coach really just say that to me? But I knew, especially playing for Chris for so long, that it came from a place of love and like a place of passion for the game and like how he cares about his players. And so when I got to Mark's team, I could definitely feel like it took a while, I think, because I didn't know Mark very much, like until I started playing with him.
Hmm.
But it took a while. Like he kind of was similar to Chris in a way where he treated us like his daughters, like his young daughters. And at practice, are they going to be like? Is he going to be tough as hell on you? Yeah. And is he going to yank you after you walk a person in live? Yeah. But that's because I mean those are the standards of our organization. But like when we get to travel weekends, he's like giving us rides to the field. The girls don't travel alone. Uh, if we needed groceries or snacks, like he always brought them for us. We'd always be making jokes with him too. Like he's a jokester. He made dad jokes all the time. Like he always had that soft spot in him. And sometimes it rarely came out, especially when it came to business weekends. But I mean, it was just a very good like happy medium of like coaching mental toughness into young girls that are going to be collegiate players someday.
Right, and you said it off camera that those two prepared you for mental toughness today, right? Because we're going to get into college in your first years, freshman and sophomore year. Some people would have given up. To be honest with you, you didn't.
Yeah.
So it was. So I guess what we're saying is it's not about suck it up, figure it out. Um, you know, because there are coaches out there that it's all or nothing. It's if you can't handle the way I coach, then you're not cut out for it, and you can go find somewhere else to go, right? Um,
And it takes some special players to really withstand that. Um, because honestly, I mean, we talked about this before, but I was never really taught about mental health when I was growing up in like school, like middle school, high school. I mean, high school, it came out a little bit, but middle school, I was growing up on, like, I think team school or Chris's team,
Well,
um,
both. I mean, you're
a little bit
eighth grade.
above.
You're eighth grade. You got on the Marks team. You're eighth grade and
Yeah.
you're freshman year.
I mean, people don't really talk about it. And then that's why it's a lot of the reason of why some girls lose love for the sport. I mean, it's very prominent now in collegiate athletics.
Right.
I just hear of so many girls losing love for the sport because of mental health or coaching or, I mean, school is balancing school on top of that. Getting a degree is really hard. So, um, it's crazy that I'm kind of just learning about it in like the years that I really should have been informed about it before.
Right.
Like, I really wish I knew about it in freshman year, you know? So, uh, but that type of coaching, it takes some special players and just really have to have that one goal in mind. Like, you want to play Dolphin softball at this particular school or these, so just like played for them. And that's played for.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's cutthroat because, yeah, the those girls that make it to the Power Fives mentally, they had a different mentality. You know
Yeah.
what? Who we're talking to are those non-power. You know, these mid majors, low. You know, these JC girls that love the game, but maybe have fallen out of love of it because of certain mental issues that they've had in their lives. And again, it doesn't have to be softball. It could be something going on, at their going on at home or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, you've been fortunate to have, a couple supportive parents, except for one tournament.
Which one? Oh, Alliance? We'll get to Alliance.
We'll get to Alliance anyway. But yeah, and as a parent, I grew up as a Gen Xer. I was suck it up, figure it out. When you came to me, in first year 12s, or I think it's like whatever episode we talked about it, where you broke down and cried because, I was throwing the ball back at you as hard as I could because weren't hitting your spots. I didn't know about mental health or, I back then, I mean, you're 11 years old and I'm like, you got to hit your spots, Lace, figure it out. Right. And then
Yeah.
when you came to me crying, I'm like, well, she should not be crying. And I have a little story too about that, but go ahead. I think you were going to say something.
I mean, it's hard for, like, especially when you don't know really like specifics about a topic. Like, it's hard to communicate that. It's like, how am I supposed, like, it was really hard for me to communicate with you that didn't feel right. But like, I knew mentally something was off, but I didn't know how to describe it. So I think that's what I'm kind of getting used to now is like learning how to describe certain feelings that I'm having because now I have more knowledge of what anxiety is, what depression is, um, what fallout looks like, or like burnout. Um, so what I really kind of want to do, I mean, this is kind of what I'm studying to do too, is to really I want young girls to be able to describe and like preach like how they're feeling and be able to really know what it feels like and describe it to others so they can get help, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Because not everyone's going to be a D1 playing at the highest level, right?
No.
It's a very small percentage. So we're talking to those girls that love the game, may or may not make it to the D1, but still love the game of softball. And so, it sounds like you're out there like encouraging that. Now, it's not that you're a softie. It's not like it's
No.
kumbaya. If they miss their spots, you're not going to say, "Oh, that's okay, sweetie." It's not that. We're not saying that, right? but there is a fine line. So a couple of stories. So I follow this. She's an ex. She's actually an ex D1 and professional player. She's a pitching coach now. I follow her, and she posed a question on TikTok. It was a 9-year-old, and she was being taught by the pitching coach, a certain way to pitch, and then she was going to her travel team, and the coach was having her pitch a different way. No, you're pitching this way. I don't care what your pitching coach says. You're going to pitch the way I want you to pitch. And so this 9-year-old was coming off of practices, bawling her head off because she was confused. She didn't know who to listen to. And so she was just in tears because she wants to please her travel ball coach, but she also wants to listen to her. So you've had experience with that, I believe, right?
Um,
A little bit?
yeah. I mean, more so in college. But you try to figure out like a balance of both. At 9 years old, though, that's hard because those are the building block years where muscle memory is starting to form and you're building those strong habits that are just going to continue on with you. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's easier now when you know your body. I'm bodily aware and I can make adjustments on my own and know what's right from wrong. And I can feel within my body what feels right. But at 9 years old, you don't know. You're supposed to be listening to your coaches and like people that are wiser than you and older than you. Um, my advice would be to listen to the pitching coach, maybe the one that's teaching you to pitch. Uh,
Yeah. Well,
but
my advice with her is get the list of what the coach, the travel coach wants, and then maybe incorporate it in her lesson somehow so that
yeah,
that she's able to come away from practices not freaking out because, she's trying to please
because
all these people, right?
yeah, because the head coach might be saying very similar things that the pitching coach is saying, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Like there's different terminology for pretty much everything
Yeah.
in the English language, whatever language you speak. Right. So like, I mean,
Staying sideways.
staying
What
sideways could mean staying
something is
sideways and staying open are the same thing. Uh,
right.
what is it? Like getting closed too early is the same as your back hip turning too early.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm trying to think of references I teach kids. Like,
Right. And this goes for anything, right? So there's again, travel, she's 9, she's entering travel. So you were there. So now there's pressures and she really likes this team, and she likes the players, so she was just confused. So again, 9 years old, we want these girls at 9 to enjoy the game, learn the game, because this is a learning period, not, we call it, I'm in business. There's learning period and then there's earning periods, right? So she's learning. And then once you get to the higher ups in softball, then there's earning, right? You're going to earn your stripes, so to speak. So she's
yeah.
learning. So let's keep that and not make it
I mean,
where she falls out of love because there's almost pressure from one side or the
yeah,
other, right?
because then some girls think that's normal, and like that can take a toll on you. Hearing different perspectives and like hearing that this one's wrong, but this one's right, and this one's right, and this one's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
well, why can't they both be right? Or why can't like
Yeah.
I just go off of my feeling and let what feels best? Uh, but I mean, it takes a lot of transition and it takes a lot of self-reflection too.
Yeah.
But at that age, you really just want validation that you're doing something right. And I can feel her pain.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, now I know how to self-reflect and I know what's right. But at that age, you don't really know, and you want to gain validation that, okay, am I doing this right or am I doing this wrong? So, but that can really take a toll. So,
Yeah,
So
and you're trying to please everybody, right? So it's probably just really confusing to her.
yeah,
And part of the reason we've kind of started this podcast was a few reasons. Mental health is an issue. It is valid, right? There are some softball players throughout your high school career, and I don't know if you remember that girl, the bat buster. That oh no, she was actually a firecracker, but she used to be a bat
she,
buster. So she was a bat
yeah,
buster, went to firecrackers, and she committed suicide. Right? I don't know if you remember that. We had the big ceremony, not ceremony, but kind of
I do.
yeah. So we had it at at STC. Um, And then there was some college, right? Some college players that committed suicide as well. We don't know why, right?
Yeah,
There's probably some underlying reasons why, but that's part of the
yeah.
reason why we did this. Yeah.
Last year there was a total of 5
Mhm.
that passed away in a matter of 2 months
Right.
in the D1 NCAA collegiate athletics,
Right.
and one of them was a softball player. And so I just remember going to practice, and everyone, like my whole team, was affected. Like even though we didn't know this girl personally, she was part of the softball world. She plays the same sport that we do, that we play every day. We practice every day. And it really took a toll on her. And it affected us because like the game that we love is a game that can also like break us down. So it's just, that's kind of like why I got into it. Um, why I want to study sports psychology, mental health, all that stuff. And people can say it's not real. People can say it doesn't exist. But I mean, just look at the facts, look at the stats. So,
Yeah. And again, we're not saying kumbaya and, you know, take care of everyone's feelings and how do you feel today? It's not that, right?
no.
Because we have no idea why they did that but there could have been a coach in their career that said suck it up when too many times and they're just like, well, what if I don't want to suck it up? Like I'm
Yeah.
having these issues and no one's listening, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So good stuff. um all right, so what we're gonna do is next week we're gonna get into kind of the pivotal part of your softball career. We're gonna have mom on. I don't know how excited she is about it, but we're gonna have her on. Um,
I mean, she pretty much just needs to tell her side of the story
yeah,
and how she felt.
yeah,
And if that's all she can, if that's all she wants to bust her up, then that's it.
yeah,
But if
uh,
there's more, then there's more.
yeah. And then after that, I think we're gonna start maybe interviewing some other parents and players and get their perspective on their journey. Maybe talk to some other people that are in the mental health community and get their take on you know high end sports, because we're not just talking to just softball girls, right? This is for any sport. This can go for baseball, basketball. Obviously, you're a softball player. You're a girl, so I mean, most of the people that we're talking to out there um, are in that genre. But there's other people. There's other sports out there that go through the same that have the same issues, mental issues as well, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Cool. All right.
I mean, and I mean, we're going to be talking about like how my mental health went from super good. How old was I? 15?
You were it was
I was 15.
you're a freshman, 14.
Going,
You were going to be 15. No, you were
it was,
15.
I was 15 because it was second year 14s.
Yeah.
How a dramatic injury can literally change the course of your career. And I
Right.
mean, everyone goes through different sorts of injuries. Um, but it's all about how like it impacts that person.
Yeah.
Some injuries don't impact people at all. I mean, they're just like, all right, let's get to rehab. Let's go.
Yeah.
But some come with issues.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get into that, right? Because your stock was really high. You were coming off, 12U, playing really well. It came off for first year 14s. I think you were pitching really well in second year 14s before this happened. I think we were ranked number 1 in the nation at the time. I don't even remember, but we were ranked number 1. We were supposed to win PGF at the time. And after what happened, we're just gonna be blunt and to the point. Your stock dropped a little bit, right? And so
Yeah.
the colleges that were looking at you, we're not looking at you anymore. So that does take a toll mentally as a teenager. 15, 15 years old,
Yeah.
and colleges aren't looking at you anymore. So it's just like, okay, now what, right? So
Yeah. I mean,
all
I
right,
kind of just
so
want to, I
yeah, go
wanted
ahead.
to end with how like you've been saying like we're not kumbaya, all this stuff. Like I want to agree with that and say like I'm not all it's okay, sweetheart. Like just get it next time. Like that is not what I say to myself when I am pitching poorly in a game. That's not what I say to myself. Obviously, you have to be you have to give yourself grace and be kind to yourself, but you also have to be disciplined and be a little hard on yourself and push yourself to be better. So, I mean, I talked about before we started filming with my lessons with those competitive travel ball girls. I'm not all, oh, this is fun and games. Let's just go pitch for 30 minutes and then you can leave. It's like, if you want to be better, I'm going to show you how to be better. And if you don't want to take that into account, then I don't know what to say to you. Right? You got to push it. Like if you have a goal in mind, you have to take action towards it. You can't just sit around and wait for it to happen. So there's steps that you have to take to be successful. And I'm going to give you those tips and I'm going to give you that advice, but you have to stay disciplined and you have to work hard. It's not just like, oh, I pitched once a week. I'm going to go D1. It's not how it works. So I'm not, especially like now, I talk mental health, I talk sports psych, but I'm still like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to work hard. I am going to beat everyone else out on the field. I don't care. That's the mentality. But you can't just go out there and be like, oh, I just love softball. Oh, it's just a great day to be a softball player. Sometimes it's not. And that's okay. But that's what I wanted to point out.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. Lace, I love you.
Love you.
And we'll catch everybody on the other side. Next week, Mom's going to be on.
Emily.
Emily. All right, guys. Take care, everybody.